Mm. Mm. That donut hit the spot. Woo! Ah! All right, so pasty white Jesus. Pasty white Jesus. We all know pasty white Jesus. He's pictures of Jesus with blonde hair, hazel eyes, feathered hair or whatever. We know that Jesus. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because there has been, not often, but every now and then, I have a giant painting of pasty white Jesus behind me, the church that I attend. Fix that. There we go. The church that I attend. And big old pasty white Jesus is going to bother some black people. And and a lot of that angst, that criticism is valid, to be honest. If you notice, when I do the church, the Deeply Munchies, I don't know if y'all know about that, but the church posts that I do, you'll never see pasty white Jesus in the background. He's there, lurking, but you'll never see him in the background because I don't like it. So then people will say, well, why don't you just leave? Why don't you say something? And blah, blah, blah. Before you judge me, some of you already have, and some of you have no idea what I'm talking about, which is fine too. You know what, pasty white Jesus, though. We all know pasty white Jesus. People will try to say, well, he's in resurrection form, you know. All right, he's still pasty white. But before you judge me, just a few things that you should consider. Number one, I lead worship and speak, have led worship, have spoken at a lot of different churches and church functions, events, retreats, all kinds of stuff. And I bring that up because it's diverse. Not just, sometimes churches are diverse, but there's white churches, black churches, Hispanic churches, Kenyan churches, all kinds of different churches, different denominations, wherever I'm scheduled to be is where I'll be. Which leads me to my other point. This current church that has the big old pasty white Jesus in the background, is paying me. Like it's a job. I would say it's definitely a job more than it's my church. It's not my church. It's a job. Now, I don't think anyone from that church is gonna watch this, but if they do, there's nothing against them at all. If I weren't being paid, if it weren't a job, I wouldn't be going there. And one of the big reasons is big old pasty white Jesus. There's also some other things going on that I won't take time to get into. Racially. But so the job thing should be considered, I think. But there's also a power dynamic as well. Like I said, I've brought up this before. I haven't in a while, but it's because I'm outnumbered, you know. And there's also something that you have to consider as well. And I say this often, especially the younger people. You gotta pick your battles, right? Can't go out there trying to fight everybody. Some things just aren't serious enough, we'll say. And this is one of those things that I'm not willing to die on the hill for, so to speak, you know. I mean, if we get some more black people, then perhaps that'll change. But I'm just not willing to push it at this point. Maybe down the road I will. Now, if it was something like serious, like really serious, if I was working someplace and I knew that there was some misconduct going on, some sexual misconduct or something like that, absolutely, I'd risk my job. I'd quit. You know what I'm saying? Just to point that out. Or if they had like slaves working the field in the back or something like that, something crazy, or just something serious, like to that level where people are getting hurt, then absolutely. But that's not the case here. It's a job. I mean, I do love the people. I love those church people. They've been very kind to me. I love leading worship. I love serving in that capacity. So I'm being genuine when I'm there, but it's a job. So consider all those things before you judge me too harshly. I mean, I don't care if I'm honestly, I mean, this isn't so much for my defense, because I don't believe I need to defend myself. This is more for an understanding, for those who would accuse me and those maybe who can relate to my situation, to give them some strength. That's all. However, all that being said, I did begin this post with I don't like it, because it does misrepresent me. It misrepresents my sensibilities, what I believe, as far as the racial element of Christ, and ultimately just misrepresents Christ. It is an issue. I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all. It's just not one I'm willing to push at this moment. But when I do end up leaving and all things come to an end, right, that will be one of the big reasons why I leave. So perhaps I'll have to do a different post on why it is an issue. But for now, I'll leave it there. I'll leave Pasty White Jesus at some point, and maybe I'll go to the opposite side of the spectrum, find myself a Jesus who looks like Bob Marley or something. Rastafari Jesus. We'll see. There you go.